Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Dungeon Boss. This time again about Dungeon Boss Respawn. I know it is really annoying when there is a video that is not horizontal but vertical, but I have all of the stuff written down on my phone and I'm just gonna talk about it. These are most of the questions that I had that have not been answered yet as of yesterday. But I found someone, shout out to Mystifo, for taking the time to actually respond and talk about everything that we know and answer my questions, yeah. So, first question, do storylines get harder once you start up a hero, or does the act of getting a hero to the next star unlock storylines? So storylines is a new thing coming in Dungeon Boss Respawn. And they said stars do not change the difficulty of anything. Each rarity have different unlocks. So you have to, basically you have to envision it as a pyramid. You have to do all the bronze and silver hero storylines first, so you can get the gold hero storylines and then the legendary hero storylines. It's split up into, I think, either elements or hero families. So as it says here, like doing Jabber's first story to unlock Raph's first story. And second story for Raph, yes, you have to unlock 7 gold hero storylines. So you can do Raph's storyline again. So you basically just get rewarded for actually playing the game, which is a nice feature. And I've heard people say that you can get all the heroes up to 5 stars by just doing the storylines, which is nice. So you only have to actually collect and get tokens from the portal for the last star. Do you keep all your titles from the OG original Dungeon Boss, except the ones that are earned by certain achievements? Nope, none of the titles carry over. So we're all gonna start new with the titles. I mean, it's not really that big of a thing, but I know a few people have pretty specific titles. Like there has been certain events on social media where they had like an art competition. So people submitted their art for the game, and then if they got a certain amount of likes, they had the possibility to like choose a title, and then they got that in game. I think it should be feasible to talk to customer service and get those specific titles again, since like it's something special. Like you actually did something outside of the game to earn that title, and I think it would be fair for them to actually be able to keep the title. Maybe put this specific title into the game with another achievement that unlocks it. Would be a nice thing for the community. Are there raid tickets, or is it like with the missing stamina? As we all know by now, stamina and quick loot keys are gone, so everything is basically just manually running dungeons, which is not too bad, as long as we don't have run 10,000 dungeons to actually be able to finish this event. And yeah, raid tickets are not there as either. So you can raid as much as you like until you manage to run out of opponents, but that's just a problem in the beta currently, because there are not that many people. I think there's like 110 to 120 people playing the beta at the moment, including some of the developers, I think. So I've heard of people like one of our guys is already like Legend 1 or something. He's I don't know how many trophies, but he mentioned that it is very repetitive at the moment since not many people are playing the game, so he's just stomping everyone in PvP, and it's always the same a few people that he meets. But as soon as more people get access to the beta, that should be a problem of the past. So yeah, infinite PvP raids. I mean, they might put an end to this. I'm not sure, since it is actually like something that influences a competitive aspect of the game. We'll have to see what they do. What does the crafting tab look like? There is no crafting tab, and we're not really sure if they're gonna bring it back. Which brings me to the next point, our epics returning. Everyone that has unlocked an epic in Dungeon Boss so far knows that you have to craft certain items so you can actually level up that epic weapon. So if they're like, I don't know if they're gonna change up how epic weapons work and how they level up completely, or if they're just gonna bring back some aspects of the crafting tab, or if they're gonna bring the materials that you need for epic weapons into some dungeons. So they could just add them in some dungeons or give us them through certain events. That would actually be a nice idea. So you don't only like get the old Dungeon Boss events going again and again and again, and not giving anything else but like tokens and gems and gold or whatever, but to be actually so that there is actually a reason to do events, so you can actually get your epic weapon materials going, so you can level up your heroes more. So I don't know what path they're gonna do, if they're gonna bring back crafting, or if they're gonna make us make the materials accessible in another way, or maybe they just remove the materials altogether and give us some form of quest for the epic weapons to level them up. We're gonna see. So far, not that many people have had the time to actually farm all the evolutions for or the ascensions for all the heroes, and the few people that have the heroes ascended are not at the required level for epics yet, so we'll see what happens once we get there. Does the human family give any boni? No, sadly not yet, but a ton of families don't have family boni as we know it so far. So if you remember, in Dungeon Boss, there is a lot of families that have certain boni, like beasts. What was the beast they like buffed? I think Solaris gave a buff to beasts, like buffing their health and I think attack or something per beast in the group. And like I don't know, dwarves had the family passive, so like Valkin gave all the dwarves bonus attack and defense values, so most of those are gone. I don't know if they're still gonna introduce them back, or if they're gonna leave the teams more open, so that you actually don't really need to run like Hagrim and Valkin for Hagrim to be decent. So far, most of the stuff that I saw revolved around heroes and abilities and passives to revolve around each other. So like Niveus got a rework. I'm gonna talk about that later. So Niveus has a lot of freeze potential now. Igorok has a lot of freeze potential now, and like the way that they work, I could see a Igorok Niveus team work pretty well, or rather the other way around, so that Niveus freezes and Igorok does more damage against frozen characters. So it's more gameplay aspect of how the characters work together, not just, okay, if I take these two characters, they have 50% more attack value. But I actually don't want to play this one, but I have to take it because family boni. So yeah, seems fair so far. Did dodge chance get nerfed? Since I mentioned in my last video that I heard the dodge chance got nerfed, but I didn't have any clue on how hard it got hit. Yeah, lots of values as a whole are extremely low, but that might change later since it's still in beta. And here you can see, I think that's from Arya, can't touch this, has an additional 5% chance to dodge and will always dodge any attacker that is prone or exhausted. So yeah, 5%, if you compare that to dungeon boss values, that is significantly lower. I don't know what her base dodge chance is, but I think in dungeon boss, once you have her at like 6 stars and level 80, she has the full dodge chance of 25% cap. Plus I think she gets a lot more from her abilities and stuff. Plus if you obviously use evasion rune, or she gets haste or stuff like that, the dodge chance is much higher. But this goes hand in hand with the dwarves no longer have the perfect swing active. Yeah, the dwarves had the family passive that they couldn't miss or couldn't be evaded, and they did more damage the more evasion chance the enemy had. So this has also been removed. I mentioned that in the other video again. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what are all the little things that they changed. Well, how do damage over times and debuffs get calculated now since they can stack? Do they double dip in stacks and skill? Do they only scale with stacks? They said they have to test further with skill, but nearly every debuff has stacks now. Some even go up to 100. That's gonna be interesting how that works. Especially if we get stuff like boss invasion again. If you have like a team that can, I don't know, freeze the enemy and then build up a ton of burning, poison, I don't know, shocked or whatever, if it returns, all of the little damage over time buffs, and if you can actually, like, I don't know, multiply them or just add a ton of stacks on top of the stacks. Gonna be interesting if there is if it's a significant damage boost in comparison to just using abilities and base attacks. Because a stack cap of 100 seems massive. Did they change anything with the stat scaling? Rarity and star boni, slow and fast modifiers. They said stars are probably the same scaling as in normal dungeon boss. As I mentioned before, people don't have had too much time to actually star up every hero and stuff like that. So we will know about this once they actually have like 5 stars and 6 star heroes. But they changed a little bit of the slow and fast modifiers. Fast reduces base attack and defense by 10%, and slow increases base attack and defense by 10%. So it has no longer the revenge attacks from normal dungeon boss. So this seems fine. Like a 20% attack decrease and a 20% skill increase for fast heroes was kinda just too overpowered, especially for like healers, and like too restricting for damage dealing fast heroes, except for like Lorelei, Deegan, Archon. There's a reason why some heroes are meta heroes and other heroes are not used at all, because like Lorelei, Archon, Serenity, and Deegan, they just scale a ton better than like heroes like Harbinger or Willow Swift. So they just scale better, they have better passives, they have better skills. So there was basically no reason to run anyone else except like 4 or 5 meta heroes if you were using fast teams. And with only a 10% decrease in attack and defense, yeah, you might want to swap out a few heroes every now and then. And slow heroes were hella tanky. Especially with frags, like, it was a pain to kill them at some point. Also, on a side note, frags is not yet in the dungeon boss respawn beta inside. So we'll see if they bring him back or not, or if they're probably gonna rework him. So far as I know, almost every hero got a rework, and as you could see, we're gonna talk about it in a bit. And as the last question, did they change anything about the Tower of Pawnage? At least not anything major, because nobody has reported on it yet. And Mystifo didn't really remember, but they said, yeah, probably nothing big, as they haven't really picked it up while just playing the tower. Hero reworks. The first and biggest one that I got notified about was Niveus. Niveus got a massive rework, plus chaos damage doesn't exist right now. Chaos damage is now just another form of elemental damage, I guess. And the only change that it got is that it now also applies a random debuff. So it's not hits through defense and damage reduction bullshit that we knew from Dungeon Boss. It's just another form of elemental damage plus a random debuff on top of it. Niveus S1 freezes the initial target and silences all other enemies. I've seen a lot of heroes, or I've been shown a lot of heroes that have reworks revolving around freezing, so I'm kinda nervous about the fact that we might get into another freezing meta. So you just want to freeze the whole of the other team so that they can't actually do anything and then just steamroll them. But I guess we'll see. So his S1 freezes the initial target and silences all other enemies. It does not revive anymore. His S2 revives only one ally as an ice golem. And his S3 sacrifices himself and does an AoE attack on the enemies, freezing them for 2 turns. So yeah, since we don't have runes at the moment, and there are not going to be any runes on release, I guess your best chance is to try to have another hero to boost his energy, so that you can use his last ability as soon as possible. Because a freeze for 2 turns is basically a death sentence. Especially if you bring Niveus and then you have like Igorok in the back as well. Kinda just sounds like a death sentence to me. But it seems like a good rework. I haven't been told about the passives yet. But by seeing the massive rework to his abilities, I'm guessing his passives got hit pretty hard too. So I'm looking forward to knowing more about him. So yeah, every hero has been changed in some aspect. Notable things: all dwarves do not have perfect swing anymore. There's another passive called Resolute. Whenever an enemy dodges that hero's attack, next attack will hit and crit. This is the replacement, but only Rogar, Sir William, Augustus, and Psalm can have it, and Psalm can give it to undead allies on the first ascension. So, seems decent, I guess. It's gonna be nice to play Sir William, Augustus, and Rogar more. I've heard Rogar's damage is pretty good in the beta so far. So, I'm gonna look forward to that. Darius, Kaimakani, and Mero are now healers. How far that actually affects anything that they do, I'm not too sure. But it's nice that they have some traits now. I think Kai is now a human healer, which is nice. Constructs can't be corpse removed anymore. But so far only Furnace and Bauble have that. I think there are not that many more constructs out yet in the beta. Living Stone, Agnon and Stonefist was replaced by Impervious, so Agnon can be frozen now. Overall, Agnon does less damage, only 3 times to Armored, but also has PWN Tanks passive. I'm not too sure what that means. I guess it's just a passive that he does more damage against taunting and tank heroes or something like that, probably. So he's still gonna be a tank destroyer with his S1, but it should keep him from being hella overpowered. We don't know about his epic yet, so we can't really be for sure, but I think it's time that Agnon got hit with the Nerf Hammer. Ponti's S1 got changed to Doombolt, so I think that was his last ability, I'm not sure, or his second ability. So it got changed, now drains 10 energy, and Chaotic Energies actually works. So I think Chaotic Energies was that the enemies get a random debuff when he dies. Not too sure, I think something like that, which was completely bugged out and didn't work in Dungeon Boss, so it's nice that they fixed it for Dungeon Boss Respawn. Shroud got changed to just be an untargetable buff, but untargetable and targets cannot be hit or buff debuff. Okay, so it's kind of a 50-50 if you actually want to use it, because you can't actually buff your own heroes. I guess that also includes like single target heals, or just heals in general, I think. So they're basically just immune on the first turn to anything that is single targeted or a buff or debuff. So they can still be hit with AoEs. Yeah, seems nice. I mean, I guess it's gonna work as Aversion did. So it's just gonna be, if you have like a full team of all of them shrouded, they're just gonna lose the shrouded because it cancels itself out. If there are no heroes on your screen that are targetable, all of them become targetable again. So it's gonna be nice to have at least one form of Aversion, even though we don't have any runes yet. So yeah, Aversion was primarily given by runes. So it's good that Shroud got a buff. I count it as a buff. And Aegis Shield got a buff. It now stacks up to 5 times. It is a buff, and buffs do stack now, or most of them at least. And Aegis Shield now stacks up to 5 times, makes Sir William good at least in early game, because he can apply 2 stacks with his S1. Nice. 2 attacks, completely nullified. That's a very good reason to have Sir William on your team. Especially now that he also has the Resolute. So whenever he attacks someone and they dodge, he gets a perfect swing basically, plus a guaranteed crit on the next turn. Or on the next attack if you can have haste yet. Chaos damage I already talked about. It is now just the damage type and the random debuff. None of the OP stuff from the OG Dungeon Boss. So, since Igorok got a decent rework, I just took out everything that I found in forms of screenshots. So yeah, winter has come, enemy start accounted with 1 stack of chilled for 3 turns, and all water allies max health is increased by 10%. And polar pounding, we already know that skill from the Dungeon Boss original. Ranged magical attack on all enemies. That applies chilled for 3 turns on hit, or frozen for 2 turns on crit. So you want some heroes that buff your crit to be able to freeze in round 1. There we have this character's defense is increased by 10% for each other water ally on the team and will apply 1 stack of chill to melee attacks. Attackers who hit them. Then the Frozen Horde. Ranged physical attack on all enemies that applies 1 stack of chill for 3 turns on hit or frozen if the target is already chilled. So you can use his S1 in the first turn to actually freeze the whole enemy team, since he already applies 1 stack of chilled at the start of encounters. So he is pure PvP setup so far. Snowy Smash. Basic melee physical attack that on target enemy. Okay, kind of weird wording on that. That applies 1 stack of chilled on hit or frozen for 2 turns the target is already chilled. So you have another way to freeze someone. Wait, that is his basic attack. Damn, so even his basic attack chills and freezes. Snowballer deals an additional 25% damage to chilled and additional 50% damage to frozen enemies. Whenever a water ally defeats an enemy, this character gains 1 stack of Empowered. Yeah, I already said in the last video, I'm thinking Empowered is like a stat buff to probably most of the stats. So it sounds nice. I see Incitement. Melee physical attack on target enemy for base damage, then applies taunting to self and 2 stacks of defended to all water allies for 3 turns, starts powered. So from what I saw here, it's probably gonna be a decent team if you use like Kai Makani as healer, Nivius as support, I guess, and Igorok as damage dealer, and I'm not sure who as 4th. Yeah, maybe Sir William, as he is also water hero. Could actually be pretty decent, depending on how overpowered some of the other heroes are gonna turn out. But yeah, that's all that I have so far. I'll probably get the other video going today for Raph. So first look at his abilities and passives and everything and how he would probably work. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. If you have any questions, ask me on the YouTube comments or ask me on Discord, wherever you can reach me. Bye bye.